He stepped out of the car, breathing in the fresh forest air. My wife Emily and her parents, Sarah and Michael, were already taking picnic baskets out of the trunk. We had come to the national park for a family picnic, and the weather was just perfect for it. "Come on, James, help us out," Emily called out, smiling. I grabbed the cooler bag and followed my family deeper into the woods. We found a cozy spot near a stream and spread out the blankets. Sarah laid out a variety of food: sandwiches, fruits, homemade cookies. My mouth watered at the sight of this abundance. "Sarah, you're a wizard! How do you manage to do it all?" I winked at my mother-in-law, snatching a piece of brownie. She laughed and playfully slapped my hand. "The secret is to keep your husband out of the kitchen," Sarah snorted, glancing at Michael. He just threw up his hands as if to say, "I have nothing to do with it." As we heartily ate the goodies, I secretly admired Sarah. She looked stunning in her colorful summer dress that accentuated her slim figure. I couldn't help but admire her shapely legs and curvy hips. Ah, if only I were 20 years older and she wasn't my wife's mother. "Earth to James," Emily's voice snapped me out of my reverie. "What's got you so spaced out? Could you please pass me the fruit drink?" I felt the blood rush to my cheeks. What a time to daydream. Good thing no one noticed my interest in my mother-in-law, or did they? Catching Sarah's mischievous gaze, I hastily looked away and focused on my sandwich. After a hearty lunch, everyone was a bit drowsy in the sun. Michael lay down for a nap, while Emily got engrossed in a book. I was about to follow my father-in-law's example, but then Sarah suggested, "James, would you like to take a walk and pick some berries for dessert? I saw a patch of blackberries nearby." "Great idea!" I rejoiced, happy for the opportunity to be alone with her. "I'll go get a basket." We delved into the forest, chatting about various things. Sarah shared funny stories from Emily's childhood, and I shared the latest news from work. The atmosphere between us was relaxed and somehow heartfelt. Suddenly, the sky darkened and thunder rumbled. Before we could blink, a heavy downpour began. We rushed to find shelter, zigzagging between the trees. Soaked to the bone, we finally came across a large, spreading oak tree. "Here, quickly!" Sarah grabbed my hand and pulled me under the protection of the foliage. We huddled together, trying to catch our breath. Our shelter wasn't much help, but we had no choice. The sound of the water was deafening, but even through that noise I could hear my heart pounding. Or maybe it was Sarah's heart. "It seems the rain isn't going to let up," Sarah sighed, hugging her shoulders. "How unfortunate. I'm starting to get cold." "I think I have something suitable," I remembered, and pulled a folded plaid blanket out of my backpack. I didn't think it would come in handy, but my mom always taught me to be prepared for anything. "Your mom is a wise woman." Sarah smiled and moved closer. "Care to share?" I draped the blanket over our shoulders and we snuggled together, trying to keep warm. Sarah emanated a light scent of citrus and jasmine that made my head spin. Goosebumps covered my skin, but not from the cold at all. Sarah, as if by chance, rested her head on my shoulder. I carefully wrapped my arm around her waist, afraid to spook the moment. We sat in silence, listening to the patter of raindrops and the beating of our hearts. "You know, I've wanted to be alone with you for a long time," Sarah suddenly confessed, pressing closer. "I like you, James. A lot." I caught my breath. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Could it be that my gorgeous mother-in-law, the object of my secret fantasies, also felt an attraction to me? "Sarah, I began, but she put a finger to my lips. "Shh, don't say anything, just kiss me." And I kissed her, gently, tenderly, barely touching her lips. The kiss quickly turned hot and passionate, and we kissed as if our lives depended on it. Sarah's hand slid under my shirt, sending shivers through my body. I don't know how much time passed. Maybe a minute, maybe an eternity. We completely surrendered to passion, forgetting about everything in the world. The rain was still pouring, hiding us from the rest of the world in our little paradise. Clothes were scattered on the grass, and we explored each other with hands and lips, leaving no inch untouched. Sarah's skin was soft and velvety, and her touch drove me crazy. Finally, merging into one, we reached the peak of bliss. Wave after wave washed over us until we collapsed, exhausted and intertwined. Our breathing gradually evened out, but our hearts were still pounding wildly. "That was incredible," Sarah breathed, snuggling against me. "I never thought it was possible." "Me neither," I smiled, tenderly kissing the top of her head. You're an amazing woman, Sarah." The rain was gradually subsiding, and we lay there, listening to the sounds of the forest. Birds chirped somewhere in the distance, and the last drops fell on the foliage. It was so calm and peaceful, as if the whole world had frozen, allowing us to savor this moment. But we couldn't linger for long. It was time to head back before our absence became too suspicious. We quickly got dressed, freshened up, and headed back, carrying a basket of berries and pleasant memories of our little adventure. Life returned to its usual routine. We went back home, to the grind of workdays and family responsibilities. However, something had imperceptibly changed. Sarah and I now exchanged special glances and smiles, keeping our shared secret. Of course, my conscience sometimes whispered that it was wrong. After all, Sarah was my wife's mother, no matter what feelings had sparked between us. But resisting the temptation was beyond my power. And Sarah didn't seem to be tormented by guilt at all. On the contrary, she blossomed and looked younger. A week later at a family dinner, Emily suddenly said, "I was thinking, why don't we go on another picnic? The weather is supposed to be wonderful." I nearly choked on a piece of steak and glanced at Sarah. She just winked slyly at me and innocently suggested, "Great idea, dear. By the way, last time James and I found a great spot with berries. Right, James?" "Oh yeah, it's quite a spot," I managed, hiding a smile. "I wouldn't mind going there again." "Then it's settled," Emily clapped her hands. "This weekend we're heading out to nature." Already anticipating a new adventure, I winked at Sarah, and she smiled mischievously in response. It seemed our berry-picking trips would become a new family tradition. And who knows what other surprises the forest had in store for us? But one thing I knew for sure, with a mother-in-law like that, no family life would be boring. And let the whole world wait while we're out picking berries together. After all, every family should have their little secrets. Did you like this story? Let us know in the comments what you liked. Subscribe to our storytelling podcast. Also, don't forget to like and ring the bell so you don't miss more interesting stories. See you soon.